Before we continue with the rest of the video, we could use your help. Click that like button to help spread the word about watchJojo, and also be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. She bought this decaying abandoned house, but how she brought it back to life is beyond awesome. In a city of abandoned and derelict houses, this one looks just like the rest. Indeed, it seemingly sits forlorn and empty on a rundown street. Its boarded up windows and smashed glass, however, are no reflection of the beauty that lies inside. In fact, one woman has transformed this disused building into something quite simply amazing. That woman is Lisa Woud, and this story started when in 2014 the florist went to a foreclosure auction. While there, she paid just $500 for two next-door houses on Decaying Street in Hamtramck, Michigan, a city almost totally surrounded by Detroit. The properties, which had trash littering every room, were totally abandoned. But Woud had an inconceivable plan in store that promised to bring the buildings back to life in the most incredible way. You see, 2 years previously, she'd seen photographs of a Christian Dior fashion show in a mansion in Paris, France. The beautiful couture clothing had been set against a stunning backdrop of blooms, with 5 of the property's rooms decked out with 1 million flowers. The sight stuck with Woud, who was also a fan of the work of artists Christo and Jean-Claude. For those who don't know these artists' work, they're best known for wrapping Paris's Pont Neuf in 450,000 square feet of woven fabric in 1985. Both works then lingered in Woud's mind until an idea began to take hold. After all, she had been running her own floral design company, Pot and Box, since 2000, and had long wanted to create a large-scale installation of her own. I knew I had to create my own house of flowers. She wrote on crowdfunding website Indiegogo. I wanted to invite as many people as possible to experience it with me. Initially, Woud's dreams were modest. My first idea was to build a small shed from a hardware store kit and display it at a local contemporary museum, she told Bored Panda, but that quickly felt like it wouldn't have had the breathtaking factor I craved. So Woud began thinking bigger by turning to a resource that Detroit has in spades. In fact, since the city filed for bankruptcy in 2013, tens of thousands of properties have been abandoned. Could they provide the canvas Woud was searching for? Woud said, "When you live in Detroit, it's hard not to notice an abundance of abandoned houses. I began looking at them as a resource, and it wasn't too much longer before I was at a city auction with my hand up." Now she had her setting. Woud's artistic vision was really beginning to take shape. Her next step then was to launch an Indiegogo campaign to raise funds for a unique project. The goal? To fill all 16 rooms of the abandoned houses with flowers and plants grown in the United States. However, from the moment she entered the property she'd purchased, Woud knew that this was about much more than a fleeting art project. She told Huffington Post, "I opened up the door and it was full of clothes and mail and broken furniture and all kinds of things. And that's when I realized that it wasn't just a campus for our work. And I realized that I was responsible for the house even after the project was complete." With this in mind, Woud came up with a 3-stage plan for the future of the houses. The first step was the floral exhibition she'd been dreaming of. So after clearing out the property, she got to work. Consequently, in October of 2015, dozens of florists from across the United States began arriving at this unassuming location just off the busy I-75 highway. Together, they began to transform Woud's houses into an incredible wonderland filled with donated blooms and living plants. Later that month, the installation opened its doors. And over the course of just one weekend, more than 3,000 curious members of the public visited the project to wander through its fairy tale-like rooms. In one of the rooms, for instance, a whirlwind of ferns and autumn leaves seemed to sweep up from the floor to cover the ceiling. Elsewhere, delicate roses spilled out of open windows and doors. Indeed, every space in the houses was used. Dresses and coats and closets shared their hanging room with flowers and plants springing from every surface. Even the bare boards of staircases were lined with fragile white blooms. Generally, visitors were blown away by the experience. From front porch to back stoop, the flower house was spectacular, wrote one reviewer. Meanwhile, commenters on Facebook were also full of praise, calling the house inspired and amazing. The eventual plan for the flower house is to work with recycling company Reclaim Detroit to dismantle the structure and salvage as many of the materials as possible for use in future construction projects. After that, the land will be repurposed as an urban flower farm run by Woud and Pot and Box. For now, however, the house is showing no signs of fading into obscurity. New installations have kept popping up in rooms since October, and in June of 2016 a wedding was held there. And although some have criticized what they see as a flippant indulgence when the city's facing so many problems, Wout is confident that the Flower House is changing Detroit for the better. Please don't forget to share this video with your friends below.